Hello and welcome aboard the Silverwind. My name is Captain Tom. I'm joined by our intergalactic robot host and friend Wilson, and yeah, we're just going to jump right into it today. Today at the end we are going to be reading the original German fairy tale story of Snow White, which I think is I think is a really cool story. That will be a fun one to talk about. And then also we have some continuation of our culture watch on some of the insanity going on in our culture currently, and on top of that, doing some Snow White reviews and kind of seeing how this story has evolved over time, and it looks like for the worse. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and see. Julia, nice to see you, my friend. Hey, on time, absolutely. Let's get right into it here. Let me see here. We got some music right here. That's fine. We'll turn that down for the sake of, let's see. So Wilson, you've got some things for us here. Let's go ahead and see the first one. So apparently this is a viral video of a crazy unhinged Karen attacking someone for a hat on a train. So let's go and take a look at this. All right, so let's see.
That's why he won. Because people like you.
Let's see here.
That's why he won. That is why he
So it looks like she's upset with him because he's got a MAGA hat on.
Bro, this is like really chill, bro.
You're okay with that? He's a racist.
I love, bro. How can I be
He's
racist,
a
bro?
racist.
okay with it.
If you fucking voted for Trump, you're a racist.
I love how she is just like echoing the it's such a tiresome thing. It's been going on for so many years to just blatantly call someone something like that when you don't even know them. People getting all mad, people getting big mad right now. And honestly, look, everyone else is trying to mind their business on the train. No one else wants this. It's one Karen who's dragging down this entire thing, and she's arguing with someone else who sounds like, you know, he may actually be on her side of the politics and stuff, because he's sitting there trying to tell her to calm down because this is why they're losing, right? Because people like her are doing insane things. So harassing people, don't harass people on a train for a hat. It's viral for a reason. Let's see this.
How can I be racist?
No, he's not. Leave him alone.
Doesn't watch the news.
You realize he wants to be Democrat.
I'm highly educated.
Oh, are you? Then why are you wearing that hat?
What a dumb argument.
The Democrat
Goodness.
since who knows how long. But then Trump comes in and just fits
Alright, well, this is my style. I hope you enjoy the hat.
Oh, she's going after. Oh no. Oh. Oh gosh. Oh no. Well, first off, who does she think she is? Gonna grab someone's hat? What in the world? Could you imagine the inverse if some guy, let's just imagine some guy is getting mad at a woman for wearing a Kamala Harris hat and then tries to snatch it off her head? That would be the top story in every single, dang. It would be the top story. Every single news outlet would talk about it for weeks on end, and you would never forget about it. And this is unhinged, insane behavior, and I love that, like, she went all in. She went all in. He didn't touch her. He didn't kick her. He didn't push her. She dove. And that is, oh man, immediate karma. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's a crazy unhinged Karen. That's what that is. That is obviously not everyone on the left side of politics, but man, you guys got to start calling these people out, you know, because they're dragging down your side of things, right? So how do you deal with crazy people who are in your organization or party or anything, right? You call them out publicly and say that you think these people are crazy, and you disown them, right? And that's how you save face. Parsing skills are immaculate. Yeah, like she took it right there. All right, so that's a good one, Wilson. What else you got for me here? Let's see here. We've got let's see. He's got these tabs up here. Let's see this one right here. All right, we have a hapless anti-Musk activist sets himself on fire. After attacking South Carolina Tesla charging station with the Molotov cocktails. Now, I did actually hear about this one before. I can go ahead and say before we read the article, the man didn't get severely injured, and he didn't lose his life or anything like that. So it is kind of funny. Let's read the details though. I love this. A hapless. So this is the New York Post here. Okay. All right, we got this. A hapless arsonist who tried to burn down a Tesla charging station in protest at President Trump and Elon Musk ended up setting himself on fire, according to authorities. Oh my gosh. Like, this is just a series of, screwing around and finding out, right? So, see here, Daniel Clark Ponder. I don't need to read any of that. Yeah, it's scrolling. Doesn't like Trump, loves Ukraine. Here we go. He was seen throwing five Molotov cocktails, one of which lit him on fire, according to witnesses who saw him fleeing the North Charleston lot. How do you even do that? Like, you should be at a distance when you're throwing something like that. But even then, like, obviously these people are crazy. Witnesses said that the suspect had accidentally caught their own back on fire while throwing the device. Oh man, this is crazy. Let's see. Obviously it looks like they found the guy. So he's a mechanic. Yeah. After the police issued a public appeal to help find him. Not clear how badly hurt he's been by the fire. Hopefully not badly. I hope he's not badly hurt. I just want to say that, it is funny that, like, obviously this, he played with fire and got burnt, doing something incredibly stupid. I mean, this is peak retarded behavior here. So let's see what happened with this. While we will defend the public's right to peacefully protest, we will not hesitate to act when protesters cross the line into violence and mayhem. That is called crossing the line into domestic terrorism, which is, at least that's my opinion. No place in our community. Let's see here. Oh, he was arraigned in federal court on Friday afternoon. 20 years. Oh man, Dude, this guy was just like living his life. Looks like, okay, he's got a DUI before, had an open alcohol container, okay, he's made some dumb decisions in the past, but nothing like this, right? So here's this guy, he's probably just living his life, gets super angst up and worked up by whatever he's looking at online, and decides to throw 20 years of his life away, pretty much ruining his life entirely. I mean, after you've been in prison for 20 years, that changes your circumstances entirely. Man, all for just hating someone. Hate is such a self-destructive thing. What's the saying? I believe it's, cutting off your nose to spite your own face. This is exactly that. That is absolutely crazy. Yeah, no, if people don't take a little bit of time to self-reflect and slow down, I would say, people who are on the left wing of the aisle of these things, a lot, even those people who are far leftists who are getting involved in this, domestic terrorism. I mean, you guys got to calm down. Like, this ruined this kid's life. This ruined this kid's life. I mean, look at this. That's sad. But at least no one got seriously injured. But yeah, it's very, very sad stuff. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got. Driver. Okay, so this is Fox 13. Caught on video. Driver cuts off, harasses Tesla owner in Linwood, Washington. What? Ooh. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. That was terrible. And it's an ad. I don't want to deal with an ad. I bet this isn't the original video, is it? Let me see. Let's turn that off. Come on. 1 second. Not what I wanted to do. Here. Okay, this isn't even the original video. Let's, is it on YouTube? X? All right, you mind pulling that up real quick? All right, well, while Wilson finds that, yeah, this is insane. Driver cuts off, harasses Tesla. You got it? All right, let's, okay, here we go. Let's see this. Does that work? Okay. Is there any volume? Maybe there's no volume. Area mother and Tesla driver was cut off by a white SUV. The mass driver approached her car and said, "You need to sell your car. This is a Nazi." Oh, that is not okay. Oh my gosh. You can't do that. Dude, okay, so this guy, so he cuts in front of her and then slams on his brakes, forcing her to stop. There's a double yellow line, and there's a car coming, so she can't just dip around this guy. And he just, in the middle of the road, gets out and starts walking towards her with a mask. That is insane. Honestly, like, that is a huge threat. I hope they find this guy, because this is absolutely, like, that's so dangerous. Brake checking is so lame. I mean, he is literally detaining her, like illegally detaining her, just so he can tell her she's driving a Nazi car and she needs to sell it, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If she sells the Nazi car, that car will still be on the road. Like, someone else will just own it. Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. These people have lost their minds. And these unhinged, like, this is just straight up terrorism. Not gonna lie, Masked Man gets out. That's when you gotta get out of there. Honestly, I am surprised that. I mean, my advice in a situation like this: if someone cuts you off, slams on their brakes, and gets out of their car with a mask on and starts approaching you, she doesn't know if he has a gun. He could just walk up to her car. He might have a gun and at gunpoint tell her to get out of her car and kidnap her or something. Like, you have no idea. In a situation like that, you only have seconds to react, and your life could be on the line. This is not okay at all. This is dangerous. And yet these people, for some reason, feel like so enlightened that they can basically, go around and do this to other people. And this guy probably thinks that he is the moral elite in this situation, given what he said. He thinks he's standing on a moral pedestal and everyone should admire his morality as he's doing this kind of unhinged behavior. This is insane. Oh, man. Well, hopefully they find this guy and put him away, because, yeah, I mean, that's a clear threat. Absolutely. Yikes. The terror campaign against Tesla owners is escalating. Here we go. Oh my gosh, here's a better video of it. Okay. We gotta get this guy, but look at this.
Gets out and walks straight up to my window. So I crack my window and I said,
ooh, if you're in this situation, just speed off. There's a room on the right there. Just get around him, get away.
You're driving.
Yeah, you don't let that person walk up to you. That guy's crazy. And then just sell it. Like, that's gonna make a difference. Just so, I mean, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. This is the only thing I can think of, because, if I think these guys just enjoy having the power to just harass people. Because if she sells it, then that Tesla is still on the road. That's another person that they can go and harass and let them know how moral elite they are. I think this is about them. I don't think it's about anything else but them. They just want to assert their morality on people. And so long as there's a Tesla on the road, they feel that they can do this. Well, we'll see how the law deals with that. These people have room temp IQ, man. It's so insane. Yeah, absolutely. It's ridiculous. That is definitely, like, this is peak retarded behavior. So, yeah. Help each other out. Everyone should be condemning this guy, not just people on the right. Let's see here. Okay, so Wilson's telling me we have another video or another story here where we have something potentially on the other side of this. Someone who might be harassing and endangering people who are protesting against Tesla. So let's take a look at that. Let's see. Well, which one do you want me to click on, Wilson? Let's see. Drives car in a Tesla protest. All right, let's do this. Okay, man claiming to be an employee of Tesla, West Palm Beach. Yeah. To protest. Oh, okay, see, these are the protesters. If you guys can see this, I don't know if I can make this bigger here. Okay. Black SUV hopped. So wait, he just kind of drove up to the sidewalk? They have this at another angle. Okay, here he is. Well, they shouldn't be standing in front of him, but that's him trying to get away. Get him! Get him, cops! Get him! Okay, so clearly, do we have anything else here?
And we've also seen protests outside of Tesla dealerships, with many demonstrators angry at Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency.
We don't get any video on this.
But one protest down in Palm Beach County.
I will say this is interesting. So, Foreman drives a car into Tesla dealership protesters. It doesn't look like anyone was hurt, according to this video. It didn't actually hit anyone, but that's a very, very leading headline right there. Breaking news: Tesla employee arrested. Drove this out into a crowd of protest. When you hear someone drove their vehicle into a crowd, the picture in your mind is that people are getting hit like crazy. It's a crowd, right? It looks like he just drove it here. Maybe this one will get better. It's the same video. It looks like he drove right up to the curb in order to intimidate them. That is assault, even if battery didn't take place. I mean, that could easily be taken, unless he's got some really good excuse and he can explain it to the judge, right? For driving his car right up onto the sidewalk where people are clearly protesting in a fast and dangerous way. Gets out. He gets out, and it says that he went into until he heard police sirens. So he gets out, and then when he hears the police sirens, he jumps back into his car. What is he doing? That is crazy. I will say this. For people on the right side of this political landscape, the people who are angry with these protesters, the last thing you want to do is give them what they want, because this is the way I see this. I could leave that running while I talk. This is the way I see this. So I remember seeing a long time ago, and these videos pop up every once in a while. There was a man he was like walking through an apartment, basically like leaving his apartment complex or something, walking through the hallway, and then I don't know the circumstances, right? But there was a very angry female hitting his back, saying, "Fight me, fight me." She was very angry with him. Who knows what went down? But clearly she was upset, and this guy is just calmly walking away as she's hitting him in the back and saying, "Fight me, fight me, fight me," and he ignores her and just leaves, right? So clearly in that situation, she's in the wrong, but had he turned around, right, and let his anger get the best of him, and he were to reciprocate what she was doing or do what she's asking to do and clock her, well, I mean, then the story would be very different. Now it would be him who's the one who's wrong, and she would be the person who's injured and the victim, right? So you have, and I'm not saying all these protesters are doing this, but you have some of them who are trying to push the line, trying to make you as angry as possible because they want you to react. And the moment that you attack them, because they can say, "Listen, we were just throwing firebombs at a Tesla, charging station, but you attacked us, like you did that," then the entire they gain the moral high ground again. So the best thing to do is just let them punch themselves out, let them, do what they're doing, because they're going all in and they're going to lose this gamble so long as people on the right do not resort to violence, do not react in some kind of abusive way, like potentially this person right here. I don't know why he drove up on the sidewalk like that, but it definitely doesn't look good, and it does look like assault. I think that's what they're charging him with, is with assault. Yeah, charged with assault after driving to a crowd of 100 protesters. Once again, the description of that doesn't seem to match the video as far as what you would imagine if someone were to describe that. So anyways, yeah, definitely don't give these people the satisfaction of trying to show them anything. Just let the law deal with them. They want to throw firebombs at a gas station or something stupid like that, just call the police, right? Just call the police. That's all you got to do. That's it, and it fixes the situation. Let's see here. Yeah, let them explain it to a judge. Exactly. Let's see here. Let's get into some of the Snow White stuff here. We'll drop some of this heavy topic here, a lot of this cringe behavior. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, we're making good time. Let's do this. So we've got some movie reviews here. Let me actually switch scenes here. switch scenes here. I'll make sure we got it all set up. Okay. All right, we're gonna be on YouTube, and this is gonna be the Critical Drinker. Now, we watched Jeremy James, I think that's how you say his last name, but Jeremy's his reviews, which are great. We watched a good part of it. We'll do the same with this. I doubt the Critical Drinker would mind if I just, reacted to his whole video. It looks like it's ooh, here, you guys gotta see this. You guys gotta see this. Look at this. It's got oh jeez. 3,704,007 views. We're gonna add one more to that, so let's do it.
There are certain fundamental truths about this world which...
Let me make sure the volume's good. You guys let me know if it's too loud. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit, but here we go.
are so universal that anyone, no matter their race, colour or creed, can pretty much agree on them. 1. Never trust a post-Vindaloo fart. 2. Spreadable butter isn't. 3. Anytime a woman starts a sentence with, "a real man would," you know you're about to hear some weapons-grade retardation.
For sure. Okay.
And
Let's
to
go.
that not-so-illustrious list, we can add that the Snow White live-action remake was, without a doubt, one of the worst ideas in the whole history of entertainment. Possibly the most predictable of all failures, a project conceived for all the wrong reasons, starring all the wrong people, pushing all the wrong messages, and telling the entirely wrong story. After all the delays and the controversies and the speculation that have been swirling around it for what feels like decades now, it was actually kinda weird to finally sit down and just watch this thing, like meeting a celebrity after following their career for years. Not a good...
Yeah, I've been following controversy on this for a little bit, and I gotta say that I have no intention of directly watching this. So I'm getting all my information from the story based on these reviews. So and these are movie critics, so they're gonna talk about more than just the plot. But yeah, this just does not seem like a good time, and I think others are agreeing. I keep seeing posts. We can look at some of it. People are posting the movie ticket sales and how there's all the seats are empty. So yeah, well, let's continue this. I actually forgot the movie came out, dude. It's so bad. I mean, for a Disney movie, and so for one of the most iconic Disney movies, and no one asked for these remakes, but for that to come out and everyone to just be either not caring, not realizing it came out, I feel like there's a whole lot more, what was that called? Apathy, there we go, than hatred towards any of this, that's the worst. When no one cares, that is the absolute worst.
Good kind of celebrity, more like a Jimmy Savile kind of celebrity, the kind that you're discreetly warned never to get into a lockable room alone with. But here it is, nonetheless, and now that I've finally suffered through nearly 2 hours of Snow White, I can confidently tell you that, yes, this film absolutely lived up to all my worst expectations, and in some cases even exceeded them. A bloated, overstuffed turkey of a production, weighed down by hammy acting, cheap costumes, horrendous CGI, and vomit-inducing cinematography that bungles most of the elements it steals from the original animated movie, abandons its classic ideals of self-sacrifice, heroism, and true love, and injects the lethal dose of the message, which is so redundant and thematically contradictory that it just gets abandoned by the...
This is absolutely... This looks terrible. How am I supposed to get excited about this movie? It's supposed to be live action, and the dwarves are cartoons. It's just a poor cartoon with it's like the... Oh gosh... I can't even remember the name of the movie where there's a detective and that's live action, but there's the rabbit, and the rabbit is a cartoon. There's something about Peter Rabbit. I can't remember the name of it. It's like they say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Yes, absolutely. I think that's probably the best way of saying it, because even if someone hates something, you can still drive attention towards it. But if it's apathy, that's a business killer. No one cares anymore. Roger Rabbit. There we go. Yeah, so that's what this is like. And that's not what they're supposed to be advertising with live action, right? I mean, what the heck? Oh, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? There we go. I knew it was more than just Roger Rabbit. Perfect. All right. That was good, though. I liked Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but this is absolute cringe. yeah, I don't know why you do this. And this is interesting too, because in the Snow White version, it was really important that Snow White clean the house with the help of the animals. She's having them clean it. It's ridiculous.
Contradictory that it just gets abandoned by the ends. It's also laughably obvious where they've had to reshoot and rewrite big chunks of this movie in response to all the backlash. Entire subplots, characters, and setups are introduced and then abandoned without explanation, and the ending is so wildly anticlimactic and jarring that it makes World War Z look like a model of cinematic efficiency. Anyway, let's get the plot summary over with so we can put this turd behind us.
Jeez.
The basic setup for Snow White is broadly similar to the original film. Snow White herself is born to the benevolent king and queen of a generic medieval fantasy land that tactfully goes unnamed. Although, fuck me, they must have pretty good transportation links with the rest of the world, because the population here is more ethnically diverse than central London. Anyway, Snow White's mum dies and her dad remarries Gal Gadot.
Yeah, I don't mean to pause it so many times. Didn't I know they did. I'm just trying to the Prime series for Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that one. That was weren't those villages like culturally diverse, and they have like Asian and African and European descendant looking people like mixed in all of them? Like it doesn't it's just kind of like it breaks verisimilitude. Like it doesn't make a believable scene when it clearly doesn't make sense for that, right? Yeah, I heard that was terrible. Yeah, it was. Once again, I didn't directly watch. I watched the reviews to see what it was about, and it was clearly not something I was interested in. We have Mexican Vikings now. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Who did it well? The Game of Thrones, like the Game of Thrones series. You knew when you saw a group of people, you figured you knew where they were from, right? Like they were very good at making sure that the different groups of people looked similar in those areas, so that like you could pick them out of a crowd. Oh, that person's from there. Oh, that person's from there. And that creates believability in your story, because that's how like actual genetics works. That's how reality is. So yeah, interesting.
Who manipulates him into going off to war, where he promptly disappears and is never seen again. Oh no, guess she's gonna have to take control of everything. What a bind. Fast forward a few years and the kingdom's become a kind of dystopian nightmare where everyone's poor and hopeless and ruled over by an iron-fisted tyrant. It's a bit like modern day Britain, only with better sanitation and dental care. Anyway, after a confrontation with Snow White over a bandit named Jonathan who tried to steal some food from the castle, the evil queen decides the best thing to do is send her out into the forest where the huntsman can conveniently murder her. It's a bit extreme, but I'll let it slide. Naturally, the huntsman has second thoughts and decides to let her go, and after wandering alone for a while, she runs into 7 dwarves that I can only describe as the kind of thing that Cthulhu probably has nightmares about. I'm not kidding, man. The brief glimpses that you got of these things in the trailers are absolutely nothing compared to the existential horror of actually witnessing them on the big screen. These are nightmares made real. Like if you woke up in the middle of the night and saw Mr. Blobby standing at the foot of your bed, silent, motionless, watching you with those blank, lifeless eyes that bore into your very soul. So after crashing at their house for a while, eating their food and helping herself to all of their resources, Snow White helpfully forces them to clean up their own home while she prances around like she's on some mad acid trip. Which she probably is, to be fair. I would be if I was in this fucking movie. Then for some reason she gets it into her head that her dad must still be alive, and the only way to find him is to seek out the bandits that lurk in the forests.
Right.
Why is she seeking out bandits in the forest? Okay, because she thinks her father is still alive? Why are they overcomplicating this story? It doesn't make any sense. But on Jeremy's review, yeah, that's right. I remember who the bandits are now.
So naturally, she runs into Jonathan about 5 minutes after leaving the house so that the rest of the plot can happen, and he protects her from the evil queen's soldiers by taking an arrow that was meant for her, so she brings him back to the dwarves to get fixed up. Oh yeah, you know those retarded looking Starbucks baristas from those early set pictures that everyone thought were the dwarves? Well, those are the bandits, who are actually out of work actors forced to become thieves because the evil queen's taxation policies shut down their entire industry.
You know that these were supposed to be the original dwarves, and that they just reshot and haphazardly threw things together, but didn't want to like get rid of these people. out of the film entirely and they tried to repurpose them. That's 100% what this is, because when they were first advertising this, all they were showing was these 7 people and Snow White, and that was it. And that's what created the initial backlash of like, what are you doing? Where are the dwarves? And all that stuff. So what do you call them? Barista? Starbucks barista people? Anyways, this is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know.
Is that a reference to something? Is that a reference to something?
Is that a reference to something?
No idea. Anyway, Jonathan decides to lure the Queen's soldiers away to give Snow White time to escape, and then immediately gets captured because he's a bumbling idiot. And the evil Queen decides that she's had enough of this shit. Frankly, one sympathizes. So she turns herself into an old hag and manipulates Snow White into eating a poisoned apple that makes her go a bit dead. But that's okay because Jonathan escapes prison so that the rest of the plot can happen, and gives her the world's least passionate kiss, which brings her back to life so that she can begin her cunning plan to overthrow the Queen and take back her kingdom. Do you want to know what that plan is? Are you ready for the 4th dimensional quantum mega chess that she plays here that would probably give Christopher Nolan a brain hemorrhage?
What's her plan?
She walks into town and then convinces the soldiers to turn against the evil Queen because she can remember their names.
Really?
I'm not kidding, that's her plan. So the evil Queen...
Okay, so... Oh my gosh. They're so obsessed with making sure that the female lead in this movie takes no like supportive role or anything like that. She has to gain all the glory, right? So she's got to be the one that, and it's dumb. Like it's not even a believable thing. Like she remembers her names, you know. Oh, you know, I remember when you did this and when I was a child, and it's just like it's so forced, I guess. There's nothing about this that seems very cohesive. Nothing about this is related to any of the principles in the original Snow White, which was about actually empowering femininity and like a feminine hero. And they've rebranded her to being a more masculine hero, and it doesn't work. Yeah, strong, independent woman. So she's got to save herself. Or she's got to be the one who defeats the bad guy. By the way, it is a movie about strong, independent women, but doesn't the entire kingdom go to crap when a woman gets in charge, right? The evil queen? Like, I don't know. It's not even a consistent message in the film. I don't know how these people are sitting down and trying to put things together, but it seems like they're suffering from a lot of bad ideas at the start, and instead of scratching those bad ideas when they find out they're bad ideas, they just start trying to like piecemeal things together into it just to get something that people will accept. And I don't know, like it's sad to see the fall from grace that Disney has been going through with this kind of stuff, because this isn't obviously the only case of it.
Gets mad and smashes the magic mirror and then turns into black glass and shatters, and Snow White becomes the new queen, and that's it. They all live happily ever after.
So she just...
Now, there's a lot I want to say about this
gets
movie,
rid of herself.
But first, let us begin with the positives. And as hard as it might be to believe, most of them actually concern Rachel Zegler.
No way!
Now, don't get
I've
me
heard
wrong,
this,
she
yeah.
might be an
She can
obnoxious
sing.
arsehole in the real world, but credit where credit's due here, she actually isn't terrible as Snow White.
It's not true! That's impossible!
I mean, her outfit looks like it cost like $100 off Amazon. Her haircut makes Anton Chigurh like a cutting-edge trailblazer. Her performance is a bit over the top and theater kid
Lord
at times,
Farquaad.
and her
That's
American
what everyone
accent
is saying,
comes
and I
and goes
can't unsee
depending
it
on
now.
whether or not she's in a reshoot.
She looks like her haircut makes her look like Lord Farquaad. It's so bad. How do you do this?
But I do get the impression she's at least trying to do her best with the material, and she can absolutely belt out the musical numbers, which is pretty much what you'd expect from a trained vocalist. The same cannot be said for Gal Gadot, however. It genuinely pains me to say this, but I think we all need to come to the acceptance that that girl cannot fucking act. It takes a special kind of charisma, presence, and dramatic range to play a good
100%.
Disney villain, and well, Gal Gadot doesn't have it. Her delivery somehow manages to be wooden and scenery chewing at the same time, and when she has to deliver a big musical number, you can pinpoint the exact moment where they swap out her voice with someone who can actually sing.
Imagine there's no heaven.
Jonathan is yet another entry into the bumbling, forgettable, non-threatening male sidekick list of modern-day Disney heroes. There's brief moments where it seems like he might be displaying the tiniest bit of attitude and heroism, but then it's immediately squashed to reinforce the idea that men are all just a bit useless. Visually, the film's an inconsistent mess. CGI Cthulhu nightmares aside, the colour scheme ranges from bleak, washed-out grey castles and towns that...
Can I say this real quick? The original... Hold up. I want to get that scene.
Ranges from bleak,
washed out... There we go. So, in the original story, which we'll read later, the dwarves don't get scared. They don't focus on any of that. Walt Disney, when he remade this story and enhanced it greatly, he turned it into a masterpiece. The original German fairy tale is a simple story. He turned it into something that's so much better. He made the dwarves terrified and cowardly to show that they did not have heroic masculinity. And it was Snow White that brought that about in them. And the dwarves are the ones who ended up chasing down and confronting the evil queen, which is when she's ultimately defeated, right? Not directly by their hands, but by divine intervention through a lightning bolt. But regardless of that, like, there was purpose behind the dwarves being terrified and scared in the original, the 1937 Snow White. It was to show their transformation because of Snow White's influence, which was what makes her the true hero of the story through being heroically feminine. And and so they keep that element in here, but clearly it has no payoff. Like, it's just so haphazard. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for any of the details that are in this story from what it seems like.
Grey castles and towns that look like Zack Snyder directed it, to a kind of over-the-top golden yellow piss filter for the CGI woodland scenes that's so excessive it actually makes your eyes start to hurt after a while. It's funny as well because there's one scene that was filmed on location in a real forest, and the contrast between that and the CGI fantasy version is so jarring I actually thought the action had shifted to a whole different country. Also, you can absolutely tell this movie's been reshot to fuck. The kiss scene where Jonathan brings Snow White back to life was absolutely added in later to try to appease fans of the original. Snow White herself has clearly been toned down in places to make her less obnoxious, and I'd be willing to bet about 90% of the bandits' screen time has been cut. Most of them don't even get a single line of dialogue, which once again had me questioning, why the fuck are they even in this movie? I think the biggest problem though is the ending. The original movie had the dwarves battling the evil queen to save Snow White, reinforcing the idea of reciprocal kindness and redemption, but here Snow White has to resolve everything by herself, and the result is that none of the other groups or factions have anything to do. Both the bandits and the dwarves, and even Jonathan, just kind of stand around watching the whole thing play out, and I couldn't help wondering, what is the film even trying to show us here? Snow White as a character seems to be all about equity and shared responsibility, rather than privilege and greedy self-interest, but when it comes to the crunch, she ends up having to do basically everything herself, which negates the very point the movie's been trying to make for the
hold on. So the movie is trying to like promote certain communist ideas about like shared work, and everyone is wealthy when everyone shares together, and but she's the one who ends up having to do everything and hogs all the glory. I feel like those are two very conflicting things. You know, they need her to be a girl boss, but they also need to promote a socialist message. And yet the girl boss part of that subverts that message. I don't know. Speaking of D&D campaigns, you could have a far more cohesive and interesting story from a D&D campaign where a bunch of people are haphazardly kind of creating a story together. That would have a lot more success than whatever they did here. Like, I don't understand how people were paid lots of money to make this. It's insane to me. I mean, geez, like, I don't know.
Past 2 hours. It's this fundamental inability to understand what it's even trying to say, beyond the crushingly tired princess who saves herself trope that's now become the very cliche it worked so hard to overturn that proves to be the film's real undoing. In short, Snow White is a modern day mess. A film that's basically been a disaster from start to finish, and now that it's finally out there and I've reviewed it, it's something I'm very much looking forward to tossing on the ash heap of history. Do yourself a big old favour, save yourself some time and money, and go watch the original instead.
Yes.
Weird.
Great way to end it.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah. Critical Drinker, the best. 540. Do we have time for another review? I do want to get to instead of another review, I think we got the point. It's it seems like it's not only just like, which I'm more interested in the plot and the story itself, but even from like an acting or cinematography and that sort of thing, like the yellow lighting that he was talking about, I keep hearing that consistently. Or at least I heard that from Jeremy's review as well, that is the there's something in there that just makes it difficult to see, and it looks gross too. Like, I don't understand how you could fail in so many different ways like this. But let's see here. So we got one more video, and then we'll go into the story as Snow White is getting sued, or at least Disney is getting sued because of Snow White. So let's see this here. We got Clownfish TV right here.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV.
Let's get the gist of this real quick and see what's going on.
Here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And things have gone from bad to worse for Snow White, for Disney.
Over Snow White's snub of little
did
people.
The movie bomb at the box office this weekend, and we're going to talk about that because even Forbes is admitting that it's a bomb. But now the little people actors are suing because they wouldn't hire them for the movie.
There we go.
That's basically about dwarfs and little people.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I have to listen to what's going on. I'm not sure much of a case they'd have because they have the creative choice to do CGI. It would have been better if they didn't, but they're suing over it now. So
what I want to see in the I don't know. The only time I've seen a dwarf done really, really well was the Lord of the Rings series with Gimli. Like, why? And wasn't using little people. It wasn't using CGI. It was just using some camera tricks with making a full-grown adult look like they were smaller. They did the same thing with the Hobbits. Why can't they do that? Like, I mean, when were those movies filmed? Where were those movies filmed? Let me try and figure this out. I don't know. It's like early 2000s, something like that. It's just crazy to me. Or was it the 90s? No, I think it was early 2000s. But like, that was done really, really well. Like, why is it that it has to be either little people actors or CGI? Like, it just seems so weird to me that no one's even trying to, in Disney in general, like, no one's even talking about that side of it. I don't know. I think that should have been done. Would have been a better play.
So you must have some kind of grounds, or they wouldn't be trying at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, because this is in California, they're going to do a rally, I guess. They're talking class action lawsuit.
I agree, Julian. You could totally screenwrite something
the labor laws out there,
million times better than what they put out.
Case they have.
They should pay us.
They might be able to argue that was discrimination. Like, we're going to create a...
That's a really good point, Julian. We have live action CGI lions. Like, it's not, you're not even honest about it being live action. They're just like reanimating like masterpiece animations with low quality, lifeless, less magic animations, like the Lion King. That was so bad. The lions don't have the expression that the cartoons had. Like, it's so lifeless. And they just toned down the magic. It doesn't make any sense to me.
A movie that theoretically should create opportunities for little people actors, and then we're going to cut them out completely.
I guess that's
but see, what's going to happen here is if they do that, it's going to mean that no studios are going to create opportunities because they're afraid if it doesn't go to the right people, they'll sue them. So I'm not sure how much of a leg they have to stand on this, but it's interesting that Disney has yet another law potentially, because they're planning it. They haven't done it yet. Potentially having another lawsuit against them.
I mean, the hits just keep on coming, right? So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news.
I think for time's sake, we won't be able to watch all of their video on this. But just looking at this article right here, from what we can read, the little people stars of Snow White are planning a class action lawsuit against Disney for replacing them with cartoons. A top U.S. and once again, like, I agree and I don't. I think because they had Peter Dinklage, in there, and because the whole original drama around him and then the 6 other, welfare recipients, that were on that screen, and that they were proposed to be the 7 dwarves. And then it's just like, well, why wouldn't you cast, if you're going to cast 1 dwarf actor, why wouldn't you cast 7 dwarf actors? And that's what started all of this. And now they did CGI, which they do have every right to do, even though it was absolutely terrible. It's a criminal act in culture. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean like you're not entitled to these roles. So I don't know. They're going to have to spin something really good. I guess we'll follow this and see where it goes. A top U.S. lawyer has been appointed and is expected to film a claim against the studio alleging discrimination. It is the latest headache for the company over its 215 million live-action remake of the classic 1937 cartoon. Last week, it was revealed that Little People actors were planning a rally outside Disney's studio in California to protest over its use of CGI to portray the dwarves. Now, this is something they might be able to do. By doing this, they may not be actually going through the whole court system, but they might get some kind of settlement or something like that, which is, I guess, good for them. Doesn't have anything to do with any of us. Actress Chapman. Actress Ali Chapman, there we go, 50, who is 3 foot, let's see here, 8 inches tall, said 7 talented Little People actors could have played those roles in the live action remake, and yet they chose to use cartoons. It's an insult and discriminatory. I think they would have a really difficult time actually getting that through as discriminatory in law. I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like if you're making a movie and you involve dwarves at all, just say you want to make a movie about The Hobbit, where were these people getting mad about, dwarf actors weren't used in that? I don't remember these people getting mad at all about that. Or Lord of the Rings. So there doesn't seem to be any consistency there. I mean, obviously they're mad for particular reasons with Disney, but we'll see what happens with that. So yeah, anyways, I was curious, like, what are they getting sued over? I think this is kind of frivolous. I don't think it needs to warrant any more time than this. Let's go to, it's a tricky one, but I kind of want to root for them anyways, just because, like, I mean, I'm not a fan of Disney at the current moment. Definitely a fan of original Disney. And speaking of, let's get into that story real quick. So let me go ahead. We're not going to jet off to another planet or anything like that today. A little bit more on a time constraint today. So instead, let's do this. Here we go. Okay. So let's read. I'm just going to read this to you guys. It's actually, so this is the original story, and this was obviously written from an oral tradition. So this is an old German fairy tale, and if you know anything about German fairy tales, they go hard, right? They don't hold back. They're not necessarily designed for a children audience, and these fairy tales, much like Aesop's fables or anything like that, they're written with an intention of promoting a specific idea, or at least exposing something that is unnatural or wrong and showing why it's unnatural and wrong. And they usually have a severe punishment for the one who's doing the wrong. And so there's some like shorter, simpler examples of this. You have the example of I don't remember the name of the story. It's very short. It's just a kid who won't eat his soup. And so the mother keeps telling him, you should eat your soup. This old German story. And the kid doesn't eat his soup. And he keeps saying, like, I don't want it because it doesn't taste good. And she's like, but you need to eat it anyways. He refuses. And then the story goes along and he just gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And it ends with him dying. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, but like the whole moral of the story is this is why you eat what your parents give you to eat, kids. Or else you'll wither up and die like that one kid in that story. So that's how German stories are, or fairy tale stories are like. This is a bit more elaborate, and it does have a very interesting point to it. I think maybe they are basing it on it being a labeled live action. Ooh, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So yeah, Beer 23, you yeah, I didn't think about that, but that would be, if they were going to say it's live action, there you go. Saying and putting CGI dwarves in there when you said you were going to do live action dwarves, that's misleading. Yeah, that's false advertisement. Get them on that. There you go. Should be on their team of attorneys there. So yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll follow that one to see if they get any traction on it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to jump right into it here. All right. Once upon a time, in midwinter, when the snowflakes were falling like feathers from heaven, a queen sat sewing at her window, which had a frame of black ebony wood. As she sewed, she looked up at the snow and pricked her finger with her needle. 3 drops of blood fell into the snow. The red on the white looked so beautiful that she thought to herself, if only I had a child as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as the wood in this frame. Soon afterward, she had a little daughter who was as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as ebony wood, and therefore they called her Little Snow White. And as soon as the child was born, the queen died. Now, we'll say real quick, there are 2 versions to the story. An older version than this, it doesn't have the mother dying. The mother is the evil queen. So this is her own mother that turns on her. But I think that in the Brothers Grimm version, which I think this is what, that's what this is, they changed that small detail about it. So basically, the reason she's called Snow White, unlike what the movie that just came out is saying, is that her skin is snow white, her lips are blood red, and her hair is as black as ebony. And this was this is supposed to make her extremely beautiful with that symmetry and contrast to it. All right. A year later, the king took himself another wife. She was a beautiful woman, and she was proud and arrogant, and she could not stand if anyone might surpass her in beauty. She had a magic mirror. Every morning she stood before it, looked at herself, and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is fairest of all?" To this the mirror answered, "You, my queen, are fairest of all." Then she was satisfied, for she knew the mirror spoke the truth. Snow White grew up and became ever more beautiful. When she was 7 years old, she was as beautiful as the light of day, even more beautiful than the queen herself. One day, when the queen asked her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is fairest of all?" it answered, "You, my queen, are fair, it is true, but Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you." The queen took fright and turned yellow and green with envy. From that hour on, whenever she looked at Snow White, her heart turned over inside her body. So great was her hatred for the girl. The envy and pride grew even greater, like a weed in her heart, until she had no peace day or night. Do want to pause there real quick. So, an interesting thing about this is that you have, obviously this story is about an older woman who won't let go of her own beauty. And naturally, as you grow older, your beauty fades, and the next generation, they're the ones who are going to be beautiful the way you were when you were younger. And so this is essentially a story showing like she has an unnatural desire to hold on to something she has no right to hold on to. And it causes her to be envious, and envy is it's one of the worst ones, right? Because you can do something positive with things like with greed. You can have an entire system where, hey, if you want to get your own in this system, if you want to be greedy, then you need to actually contribute to the system, right? So that's basically, like a capitalist system, right? And so you're using people complain about it, and we'll talk about this because they brought up communism in the review. But in capitalism, yeah, you could be greedy all you want, and it is a greed-based system, but it uses human greed to actually make them productive into doing something for society, either making a product or service, or helping someone make a product or service by working for them and by contributing to society and giving making it better. Then you can satisfy your greed with whatever you're able to get out of it. So it's productive, right? But envy, so speaking of like socialism, is entirely predicated on envy, which is entirely destructive, and all it does is take, right? So there's no way to turn envy into something productive, right? So envy is one of the bad ones, and that's what she's suffering from. Turned yellow and green with envy. Let's see what happens. Then she summoned a huntsman and said to him, "Take Snow White into the woods. I never went to see her again. Kill her, and as proof that she is dead, bring her lungs and her liver back to me." Ooh, that is In the Disney movie, the 1937 one, it was her heart. And this is interesting, her lungs and liver. I have to look into why that specifically would be the request. The huntsman obeyed and took Snow White into the woods. He took out his hunting knife and was about to stab into her innocent heart when she began to cry, saying, "Oh, dear huntsman, let me live. I will run to the wild woods and never come back." Because she was so beautiful, the huntsman took pity on her and he said, "Run away, you poor child." You say she was 7. Did it say she was 7? Let's see here. Let's see here. I don't think it says her age, I'll be honest. I think, yeah, I don't remember seeing her age. It just says that, when she was 7 years old, she was as beautiful as the light of day, even more beautiful than the queen herself. Oh, there you go. There it is. I'm wrong. You're right. Yeah, it says she was 7 years old. My goodness. Hey, this is the original German fairy tale, right? Is before she asked the mirror. Yeah, so basically, by the time she was 7, she was more beautiful than the queen. So that was just kind of showing, I guess it talks about, I mean, how beautiful she was. I don't think it necessarily means in like a sexual way, but, you know, the queen was losing to a 7-year-old. Yeah, exactly. She's 7, of course. All right. So the huntsman obeyed. Oh, no, we're not there yet. I'm sorry, we're past that. Okay, he thought, the wild animals will soon devour you anyways, but still, it was if a stone had fallen from his heart, where he would not have to kill her. Yep, he doesn't have to do it. He'll let the woods do it. Just then, a young boar came running by. He killed it, cut out its lungs and liver, and took them back to the queen as proof of Snow White's death. The cook had to boil them with salt, and the wicked woman ate them, oh my gosh, supposing that she had eaten Snow White's lungs and liver. Disgusting. The poor child was now all alone in the great forest, and she was so afraid that she just looked, at all the leaves on the trees, it's weird way of saying it, and did not know what to do. Then she began to run. She ran over sharp stones and through thorns, and wild animals jumped at her, but they did her no harm. She ran as far as her feet could carry, and just as evening was about to fall, she saw a little house and went inside in order to rest. Inside the house, everything was small, but so neat and clean that no one could say otherwise. Let's see, in this version, the house was clean. There was a little table with a white tablecloth and 7 little plates. Each plate had a spoon, and there were 7 knives and forks and 7 mugs as well. Against the wall, there were 7 little beds, all standing in a row and covered with snow white sheets. Because she was so hungry and thirsty, Snow White ate a few vegetables and a little bread from each little plate. And from each mug, she drank a drop of wine. Afterward, because she was so tired, she lay down on a bed, but none of them felt right. One was too long, the other was too short, until finally the 7th one was just right. This is that, the 3 bears. Yeah, this is similar to that one. She remained lying in it, entrusting herself to God, and fell asleep. After dark, the masters of the house returned home. It's such a similar theme. There were the 7 dwarves who picked and dug for ore in the mountains. They lit their 7 candles, and as soon as it was light in their house, they saw that someone had been there, or not everything was in the same order they had left it. Yeah. Goldilocks. Gotcha. Yes, it's turning into Goldilocks now. The first one said, "Who's been sitting in my chair?" Oh, this is so Goldilocks. The second one, "Who's been eating from my plate?" The third one, "Who's been eating my bread?" The fourth one, "Who's been eating my vegetables?" The fifth one, "Who's been sticking with my fork?" The sixth one, "Who's been cutting with my knife?" The 7th one, "Who has been drinking from my mug?" Then the first one saw at that there was a little imprint in his bed and said, "Who stepped on my bed?" The others came running up and shouted, "Someone has been lying at mine as well." But the 7th one, looking at his bed, found Snow White lying there asleep. The dwarves aren't scared this time. The 7 dwarves all came running up, and they cried out with amazement. They fetched their 7 candles and shone the light on Snow White. "Oh, good heaven! Oh, good heaven!" they cried. "This child is so beautiful." Maybe she is still 7. They were so happy that they did not wake her up, but let her continue to sleep there in the bed. The 7 dwarf the seventh dwarf had to sleep with his companions 1 hour with each of them. Maybe he stunk. I don't know. 1 hour with each of them, and then the night was done. The next morning, Snow White woke up, and then she saw the seven dwarves, and she was frightened. But they were friendly and asked, "What is your name?" "My name is Snow White," she answered. "How did you find your way to our house?" the dwarves asked her. Then she told them that her stepmother had tried to kill her, and the huntsman had spared her life, and that she had run the entire day, finally coming to their house. The dwarves said, "If you will keep house for us and cook, make beds, wash, sew, knit, and keep everything clean and orderly, then you can stay with us, and you shall have everything that you want." That's a pretty good deal. "Yes," said Snow White, "with all my heart." So she kept house for them. Every morning they went to the mountains looking for ore and gold, and in the evening they came back home. Their meal had been ready, or had to be ready. During the day the girl was alone. The good dwarves warned her, saying, "Be careful about your stepmother. She will soon know that you are here. Do not let anyone in." No, now the queen believed that she had eaten Snow White's lungs and liver. She could only think that she was again the first and most beautiful woman of all. She stepped before a mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is fairest of all?" It answered, "You, my queen, are fair, it is true. But Snow White, beyond the mountains, with the seven dwarves, is still 1,000 times fairer than you." That mirror just dimed her out. Like, they just dimed out her location. What the heck? Didn't have to do that. Oh man, well, yeah. Anyways, I'm trying to think of that term. You know, when you reveal where someone lives. Yeah, I'm sure someone in chat will think of it. This startled the queen, for she knew that the mirror did not lie, and she realized the huntsman had deceived her and that Snow White was still alive. Then she thought, and thought again, how she could kill Snow White. For as long as she was not the most beautiful woman in the entire land, her envy would not give her rest. At last she thought of something. Coloring her face, she disguised herself as an old peddler woman, so that no one would recognize her. In this disguise, she went to the house of the seven dwarves. Knocking on the door, she called out, "Beautiful wares for sale! For sale!" Snow White peered out the window and said, "Good day, dear woman. What do you have for sale?" "Good wares, beautiful wares," she said. "Bodice laces in all colors." And she took out one that was braided from colorful silk. "Would you like this one?" "I can let that honest woman in," thought Snow White. Then unbolted the door and bought the pretty bodice lace. "Child," said the old woman, "how you look. Come, let me lace you up properly." Uh-oh. The unsuspecting Snow White stood before her and let her do up the new lace. But the old woman pulled so quickly and so hard, Snow White could not breathe. "You used to be the most beautiful one," said the old woman, and hurried away. Not long after, so she's trying to like cut off her oxygen with a bodice lace. She's not good at this whole killing thing. This is pretty bad. Not long after, like, there's nothing even magical about this. It's just a dick move. Not long afterward, in the evening time, the seven dwarves came home. How terrified they were when they saw their dear Snow White laying on the ground, not moving at all, as though she were dead. They lifted her up, and seeing that she was too tightly laced, they cut the laces in two. Then she began to breathe a little, and little by little, she came back to life. When the dwarves heard what had happened, they said, "The old peddler woman was no one else but the godless queen. Take care and let no one in when we are not with you." When the wicked woman returned home, she went to her mirror and asked, "Here we go, we'll go through it quickly. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's in this land is fairest of all?" The mirror answered once again, "You, my queen, are fair, it is true, but Snow White beyond the mountains, with the seven dwarves, is still 1,000 times fairer than you." I feel like the mirror is egging her on. When she heard that, all her blood ran to her heart, because she knew that Snow White had come back to life. "This time," she said, "I shall think of something that will destroy you." She's bad at this. Then with the art of witchcraft, okay, now she's going to do something a little bit more. Let's go. Which she understood, she made a poisoned comb. Then she disguised herself, taking the form of a different old woman. Thus, she went across the seven mountains to the seven dwarfs, knocked on the door, and called out, "Good wares for sale, good wares for sale." Snow White looked out and said, "Go on your way. I am not allowed to let anyone in." "You surely may take a look," said the old woman, pulling out the poisoned comb and holding it up. The child liked it so much that she let herself be deceived, and she opened the door. After they had agreed on the purchase, the old woman said, "Now let me comb your hair properly." She had barely stuck the comb into Snow White's hair when the poison took effect, and the girl fell down unconscious. "You specimen of beauty," said the wicked woman. "Now you are finished," and she walked away. Oh my gosh. All right, well, let's see what happens. Fortunately, it was almost evening, and the 7 dwarves came home. When they saw Snow White lying on the ground as if she were dead, they immediately suspected her stepmother. They examined her and found the poisoned comb. They had scarcely pulled it out when Snow White came to herself again and told them what had happened. Once again, they warned her to be on guard and not open the door for anyone. All right, look at that. Yeah, the mirror is a snitch. It totally is diming around. Back at home, the queen stepped before the mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's in the land is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror said, "You, my queen, are fair, it is true, but Snow White beyond the mountains with the 7 dwarves is still 1,000 times fairer than you." When the queen heard the mirror saying this, she shook and trembled with anger. "Snow White shall die," she shouted, "if it costs me my life." Ooh, is that foreshadowing? Then she went into her most secret room. No one else was allowed inside, and she made a poisoned apple. From outside, it was beautiful. What's a poisoned apple? I think it's just supposed to say poisoned apple. Anyways, from the outside, it was beautiful, white with red cheeks, and anybody who saw it would want it. But anyone who might eat a little piece of it would die. Then, coloring her face, she disguised herself as a peasant woman, and thus went across the 7 mountains to the 7 dwarves. She knocked on the door. Snow White stuck her head out the window and said, "I'm not allowed to let anyone in. The dwarves have forbidden me to do so." "That is all right with me," answered the peasant woman. I'll easily get rid of my apples. Here, I'll give you one of them." "No," said Snow White, "I cannot accept anything." "Are you afraid of poison?" Oh my gosh, so in the nose. Asked the old woman. "Look, I'll cut the apple in 2. You eat the red half, and I shall eat the white half." Now the apple had been so artfully made that only the red half was poisoned. Snow White longed for the beautiful apple, and when she saw the peasant woman was eating part of it, she could no longer resist, and she stuck her hand out, took the poisoned half. She barely had bitten in her mouth. I think it should say bitten it in her mouth when she fell to the ground dead. The queen looked at her with a gruesome stare, laughed loudly, and said, "White as snow, red as blood, black as ebony wood, this time the dwarves cannot awaken you." Back at home, she asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the latest fairest of all?" It finally answered, "You, my queen, are fairest of all." Then her envious heart was at rest. I think we're almost there. We're almost there, guys. Then her envious heart was at rest, as well as an envious heart can be at rest. When the dwarves came home that evening, they found Snow White lying on the ground. She was not breathing at all. She was dead. They lifted her up and looked for something poisonous. They undid her laces. They combed her hair. They washed her with water and wine, but nothing helped. The dear child was dead, and she remained dead. They laid her in a bier, and all 7 sat down to her and mourned for her and cried for 3 days. They were going to bury her, but she still looked as fresh as a living person and still had her beautiful red cheeks. They said, "We cannot bury her in the black earth," and they had a transparent glass coffin made so she could be seen from all sides. They laid her inside, and with golden letters wrote on it her name and that she was a princess. Then they put the coffin outside on a mountain, and one of them always stayed with it and watched over her. The animals too came and mourned for Snow White, first an owl, then a raven, and finally a dove. Snow White lay there in the coffin a long, long time, and she did not decay, but looked like she was asleep, for she was still as white as snow, and as red as blood, and as black-haired as ebony wood. Now it came back to pass that a prince entered these woods and happened into the dwarf's house. So this is the first time compared to what Walt Disney did. Walt Disney had the prince show up at the very beginning and show that the prince and Snow White had a love interest, but her tattered clothes and her bad circumstances, being treated poorly by the queen, was what kept her from properly courting him. In this, there's just a random prince that shows up. So we'll see what happens. And she's already dead. Let's see here. Yeah. They can't bury her. I lost my place. My bad, everybody. Now it came to pass that a prince, there we go, enter into the dwarf's house where he sought shelter for the night. He saw the coffin of the mountain and within it beautiful Snow White, and he read what was written on it with golden letters. Then he said to the dwarves, "Let me have the coffin. I will give you anything you want for it." But the dwarves answered, "We will not sell it for all the gold in the world." Then he said, "Then give it to me, for I cannot live without being able to see Snow White. I will honor her and respect her as my most cherished one." As he thus spoke, the good dwarves felt pity for him and gave him the coffin. The prince had his servants carried away on their shoulders, but when it happened that one of them stumbled on some brush, and this dislodged from Snow White's throat the piece of poisoned apple that she had bitten off, not long afterwards she opened her eyes, lifted the lid from her coffin, and sat up, and she was alive again. Somebody may tell him her age, right? Although it's been some time, like, does it count if she's been there for 11 years in that state? I mean, is she 18 now? Like, I don't know. Good heavens, where am I? She cried out. The prince said joyfully, "You are with me." He told her what had happened and then said, "I love you more than anything else in the world. Come with me to my father's castle. You shall become my wife." Snow White loved him, and she went with him. Their wedding was planned with great splendor and majesty. This is where it gets really good. Snow White's godless stepmother, here we go, was also invited to the feast. After putting on her beautiful clothes, she stepped before her mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is fairest of all?" The mirror answered, "You, my queen, are fair, it is true, but the young queen is 1,000 times fairer than you." The wicked woman uttered a curse, and she became so frightened that she did not know what to do. At first, she did not want to go to the wedding, but she found no peace. She had to go and see the young queen. When she arrived, she recognized Snow White, and terrorized, she could only stand there without moving. Then they put a pair of iron shoes into burning coals. They were brought forth with tongs and placed before her. She was forced to step into the red-hot shoes and dance until she fell down dead. And that is the original Brothers Grimm Snow White story, which is awesome. It's simple, and it's just it's a little long for one of these stories, but at the same time, you have the evil queen has through envy, wants to hold on to her beauty in an unnatural way to the point where she wants to kill this child who, in this story, she's a stepmom. In the original one, she is, that the Brothers Grimm is actually based on. It's very similar to this. They changed only a couple small details in that it was her own mother. So her own mother is trying to kill her own daughter because her daughter becomes more beautiful than her. But she gets her comeuppance at the end. Everything is resolved in a brutal way, which is a classic German fairy tale. So anyways, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this stream for the night. So if you wanted to continue seeing this and you want this to have, want to see us do more on this channel, then hit that like and subscribe, share the channel with everyone else. And with that, we're going to hit this outro and catch you guys next time. Let's see here. There we go. Perfect. All right. I fixed the outro as well. So have fun.
I know the air I'm breathing, it's no good for my lungs. I do this every season, I hate when summer comes. I fall into a trap that I made by myself. Oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady, I've lost 1,000,000 times already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy, my heart feels heavy, I've lost already, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down now. take a hit, I love it. Can you give me a second? I'm slow, got blurry vision. I fall into a trap that I made by myself. Oh, and I always do the wrong thing. I'm unstable and I'm unsteady. I've lost a million times already. I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. I feel unable and so unworthy. My heart feels heavy, I'm lost already. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not able to slow down. Now, please help me see the things that I am. I don't understand. I'm doing the best that I can right now, but it's never enough. I'm not here